Hey, welcome everyone. It's John the Net Guy. Today's a very special Tech Day live show. This is an episode all about the Craftsman V20 line of portable hand tools. These ones are new, but they have a little bit of dust on them because not too long ago, I just made this. This is a single board birdhouse, and it's a super easy project for you, maybe you and your kids. I'm going to build this with Maverick, my son, hopefully next week when we get back from some other adventures we're doing. But it is a very, very simple project to put together. It does show all of the features of these tools. So I'm going to use every one of these tools you see in front of me, including this one up here, to make this show possible. And if you didn't have but just a saw and a drill or a couple of these, you could make it work as well. I am not sponsored by Craftsman, but if they want to talk, let me know. If you want to shout this out to them on Twitter or one of the other social media sites, that would be awesome. If you have a friend that might be interested in this show, tag them, send the show to them right now, because I would really like to see them in here. I'm taking a look in here just to make sure everything is set properly, which it is. It looks great. I do see a couple people viewing already. This is a little bit earlier show than I normally do. I do have to let the Amazon folks in just a second. So let me know if my audio sounds good. That's another thing we always check here in the beginning before I get everything going. I'm going to pull up my creator app. I am going to be live on Amazon, Twitch, Kick, X, Facebook, wherever I can be out there. But the chat should be integrated, so you guys should see that. I'm going to bring this up, and then I'm going to come back over here. Apparently, it wants to do Windows updates. Should I let it do Windows updates? Give me 1 second here. New updates are ready for your device. Isn't that just my luck? That's how it would be. I think that, if I had a chance, that would be exactly what gets me. Is it wanting to do Windows updates? I'm going to go ahead and see if Restream is going to cooperate so that we can get live on Amazon. I have to get a couple little things rerouted. Everything looks like it's working here, and it's working back there. So we're going to get started streaming. I'm going to shrink this down, and I'm going to turn this screen off, and then we will get the Amazon folks in. So let's see. We're ready for Amazon. So we're going to hit go live on there. We'll be live there as well. I see a creator in here already, Jonathan Talks Hardware. Thank you, Jonathan, for tuning in. Got some great stuff tonight. And we'll do our welcome again. Welcome everybody from Amazon who just showed up. I was just explaining that today's project is going to be a single board birdhouse. That's right. You literally take one fence picket. Now, doesn't have to be new like this one. You could just steal one off your neighbor's fence, 6-foot cedar fence picket, and you can follow along with this project. If you wanted to do the same thing, maybe a little nicer, maybe you're going to paint it, you could use a pine board or an oak board or something else that would be equivalent. Now, the nice thing about cedar, though, is it's got natural herbicides in it. So it can work really, really well for this. We are going to check out all of the Craftsman V20 tools I have in front of me, as well as some that were around the corner here that we're not going to use, but we're going to take a look at them today. If you're first time here, take a look at the link below that's going to be scrolling. That is my Amazon affiliate link there, the shop net guy. That's my Amazon store. What does that look like when you go there? Well, it looks an awful lot like this, and there I am. You can see me live here on the show. You can actually watch it on Amazon. You can see all the products that are coming up from the show. If you want to click the drill here, you're going to see this Craftsman special event. You can see all of the tools that we're using here for the system today, along with some of the other reviews that I've done before for products. So you're helping me today make content, which is awesome. And I'm going to help you by telling you what's good and what is not. Oh, we got a special celebration here for Jonathan Talks Hardware. I just graduated school last Thursday. Big clap, man. Thank you for making it through. It's hard. Not a lot of people these days are, investing in themselves. And so it's great that you can do that. He's also a great creator. Check him out. And Jonathan Hardwick says, Tool Man John, maybe I love Tim the Toolman Taylor. If you guys remember Tool Time, that show, that was awesome. And oh, what was Al Borland was his co-host on that show. So hopefully I'm more for the Al than the Tim. Al had a beard, so maybe that lets me in there. So I see a few of you are already checking it out. If you do purchase any of these things, full disclosure, I get a very small commission. When I say very small, I mean like single digit commissions, but it is what it is. I do these for showing you all the cool fun. The fact that they pay me a little bit to do it is even better. So let's get started. Let's talk about what you're going to need to get going here. First, you're going to need safety glasses. So I'm going to go on the top down as I pull these out for you guys. So a set of safety glasses would be great to protect your eyes because there's going to be wood chips. You're going to need something to make straight lines with. Now, I'll show you a trick that we can actually use one of the pieces that we're going to cut off first and use it kind of as a straight edge. You're going to need something to mark with. I'm going to use this really bright blue marker so that it hopefully shows up on this camera angle that I'm using right now. If you want to use a pencil, a carpenter's pencil, that would be even better. Then you don't have to worry about bleed through or anything. You're going to need something to drill a hole. This is an 1.5 inch drill. So this is a hole saw that's also happens to be from Craftsman, but it's not on the show today. So that would be it. You are going to need 4 screws at a minimum if you want to have the bottom be removable, which I recommend. And in this case, I'm actually going to use this brad nailer. I'm going to use these little tiny brad nails and this electric portable nailer. But if you don't have that, you're going to need a few more of these screws, probably 8 or 9 additional screws to get this all put together. That's about it. Now, what's funny is one thing I didn't say you'll need is a tape measure, and that's because you don't. Here's the plans right here. If you're watching on any of the other services, the link is in the video description, but take a look at these plans. I'm going to try to get them really close so you can see it. And I'm going to walk through how to do it. But basically, the neat thing about this is everything is based on the width of the board. So if your board is 5 inches wide or 6 inches wide, or you get a 1x8, it's all going to work out because all the measurements can be done with the first cutoff piece that you're going to do. Big thanks to the Kimsoft guy out there. I ran across this plan the other day. It was from back in 2000 that this person came up and drew this. And you can get this in that first video link that you saw there in the description. So very cool. Pinky Tech says, does size matter? Only when it comes to batteries, I think. We're going to talk about the batteries here coming up. Let me get the area cleared off a little bit here. I'm going to put some of the tools behind me. I'm going to put some of the tools that we're going to use over here. We're going to come back to these guys because we're not going to need this for a little while. Let me see if I can do this without hiding anything too far. Now, you can buy these tools individually. Most of the links that I put in are going to be the individual tools. If you want to purchase them in combinations, you can usually get a better deal. I'll be honest, I bought most of these as a combo kit, and then I supplemented where I wanted specific individual tools. The batteries on every single one of these are interchangeable. So let's talk about that. So this is just one of the standard V20 tools. Most of the Craftsman V20 come in 2 different models. So this is going to be their oscillating tool. And so it's going to be pretty basic. It has a little tiny light here. It's good for light projects, light duty, all the way up probably medium duty. They have a nicer version of this one called the RP. So runtime and performance, it's going to have a stronger brushless motor. It's going to be a little bit more heavy duty. But the thing I love about this, same exact battery. So if you want to have one tool that maybe you use more and you want to buy the heavy duty version of that, you can do that. If you want to maybe save a little bit and get a budget tool, you can do that and get the entry level version. Same thing with their circular saws. So they have an RP version of this little portable baby circular saw. This one will cut all the way up to a 2x4, which is normally what you need. But if you're going to do more cutting or you need something different, they have that as well. So we'll talk about each tool as we pull them out to use them. But that's one of the overviews of this. You're also going to see the tools called the Max or the regular V20 or V20 Max. Those are, again, those entry tools. The RP are kind of the high-end tools. So, okay, I'm going to put some of these outside of the area, and we're going to get started. I'm going to put my safety glasses on. Now, you could get some safety gloves, and I think I just forgot to grab them earlier, but you don't technically need them for this. I'm going to go ahead over here, put this here so you guys can see what we're making. I'm going to use this large piece of lumber here to just be a backstop. So as I'm drilling, cutting, if I miss, I know that would never happen. But if I just happen to miss with a cut, I want it to cut into this and not my teak desk. But I have used these tools all week. It's been great. I was using them last week on the boat. We went out, had a great Memorial Day. Hopefully you guys had a great Memorial Day. So I'm going to show you just real basic how this works and how all the measurements on these plans come right off of this first cut. So we're going to align this up. I'm going to go ahead and put down the board. I'm going to use a clamp to make sure it stays in place while we're cutting here for safety. And then we're going to find the best angle. Let's see. I've got a couple different cameras I can give you. I can give you the top-down view, which looks pretty good usually. And we'll start with that one. But again, something straight to measure with would be nice. So I'm going to use this. You could use a framing square. This is a T-square. But I'm just going to go out. I'm going to give myself just a 2-inch block, and I'm going to make one line. So that's our very first cut. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Craftsman circular saw. So like I said, this is their 6 1/4 inches, their smallest. But this is the 18-tooth blade here. Very easy to use. It is completely battery operated. So where most of your old circular saws had to plug in, this one you can take with you. And it is adjustable for angle up to 50 degrees. It does have a dust collection port. It's going to have a safety for the blade there, a guard, as well as an interlock safety so you can't accidentally kick it off. It is going to come with a tool right here for blade replacement. So if you need to change to a different blade, you can use that universal tool. It also has a Phillips screwdriver on it, so that fits safely in here. And then your depth of cut is adjustable with this side right here. And you can see how this guard goes up and down. So if you're cutting maybe LVT flooring, you've got to do some inside cuts. Maybe you're doing Pergo still and you want to use something like this to make really quick cuts. You can adjust that to be really low. In most cases, we're going to want it to be just over the thickness of a board. So I'm going to set it right there. If you want to see the measurements, they're actually on the inside down here. So you can actually see where it's there. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten it down. There we go. This also I'm going to flatten down and lock because we're going to do 90-degree angle cuts here. So I'm going to go ahead and run this, and I'm going to switch over to this view for you guys so you can see this first initial cut and how it works. Oh, you know what? It helps if you have a battery in it. Sorry, I had the batteries in the different devices. This is going to run with the Craftsman V20 batteries. Let's talk about these real fast. So the V20 battery right there has a built-in charging indicator. So it's got 3 bars. So it is 100% charge. I charged everything right before I started. It's going to slide in and lock, which I really like. And you can unlock it by pushing down. I have not had these fall out, and I've dropped a tool already this week, and it worked out great. So held up. So we're going to cut through this first. Now this one, because the board was already has a split, looks like started in it, it did drop out, and that's fine. If it does split on our next one, I may have to move this all down. In fact, I think I have so much extra here that I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to where the end of the split is because I want this to really work out well, and I want to show it to you. And there's a lot of extra board here. So technically, it looks like my split ends about there. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this excess off, and we'll use this piece for the measurement that I was talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and run it here. Yeah, this piece, you can actually feel it. It already has very little support because of this board being cracked. Now, what's interesting about this is the only thing that we need now. Now, I can actually separate it because we don't actually need a full piece for this. The rest of all of these instructions, if you're following along at home, are all done with one of these spare cutoff pieces. So what do I mean by that? Well, the first thing we're going to do is make 5 identical marks. Now, this is kind of interesting, so we're going to slide this all the way down. I'm going to put these instructions up here. We're going to make 5 marks that are the width, I'm looking across here, of a board piece. Now, I just technically happen to have a cutoff from the last one that worked a little better. I'm going to use that because we want to talk about widths here, and I don't want to use one of these broken pieces. So this is the width of that spare cutoff piece when it doesn't crack on you. And that's what everything is based on. So I'm going to go ahead and make a mark here. And the nice thing is this is like an outdoor birdhouse, so it doesn't have to be perfect. That is one piece, two pieces, three pieces, four pieces, and five pieces. So 5 identical width marks here. So this one is going to be your side. This one is going to be your side. This one is going to be the front. This is going to be the roof arch. And you'll see why that's important. This is going to be the back. Now I'm going to take and mark off, as you guys can see here, just straight lines across to give myself something to cut. And you can cut these all at once. And we're going to cut them with different tools just to show you how they all work. Now you can draw this front one across, but there's something special that comes up here. And I'm going to show you in just a second here. So now that I've marked all these, this one about the roof arch, this is this angle right here that we're talking about. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a 45 X through this. So just take any straight edge you have, doesn't have to be perfect, and just go corner to corner. So I'm going to take that from there to there, and I'm going to draw an X. And that is going to set your roof line there. And now we just begin cutting these pieces off. Now we could use the circular saw over and over if we want, but I want to start showing you guys some of the versatility of the different tools that we have here. So let's see, here we go. Safety, what is that? Somebody says in here. I'm just taking a quick look at the chat. Okay, so we've got a ton of tools. This just happens to be the Craftsman reciprocating saw is what they're calling it. It has a safety lock here. It is compatible with all your standard Sawzall blades. That's the traditional name for these, a Sawzall. It does have the V20 battery packs. You can do the 2 amp, the 4 amp hour, all the way up. It's incredibly lightweight, super easy to carry around tool. It's going to work really well. I'm going to actually take off the captions on here because I want you guys to see the whole screen. Sorry about that. We're going to hide that. There we go. So yeah, very lightweight, very quiet. And you can see it's got an adjustable speed. It can go super slow or very fast. So it has that ability to adjust down, up and down. We're going to make one cut with this down here. I'm going to make this cut with the next tool, which is the jigsaw. So I'm going to grab the jigsaw out. And I have that one hiding behind me over here. So this is the Craftsman jigsaw. Now it has a bunch of features to talk about real quick before we make this cut. This 0, 1, 2, this is actually the oscillation mode. So as this thing is going back and forth, it actually has the ability to oscillate forward and cut and do almost a circular motion in its cutting instead of just straight up and down, which actually can help your cutting. If you're not used to that or you don't want it, you can actually adjust it not to do that. Again, this one is also speed adjustable. You can see you can go very slow all the way to very fast. It is going to have an adjustable base here. The tool for that is really hard to get to, and it's hard to get out. I'm able to do it now because I loosened it up. I could get that out if I really tried, but that does let you angle the base on this. Overall, tool weight's not bad. It does have some decent weight, which is what you want. Now we're going to go ahead and cut this along the side here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut the first side with it. So just putting it along. There we go. So headphone warning there. We're making plenty of sawdust today. So that cuts super easy. And so this is marked as side 1. Now I could use the same tool if I want to make another cut. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and cut it with the reciprocating saw just to show you how easily this cuts. So again, line up. You have that adjustable speed, so you can go very slowly if you wanted and just, make a mark there where it's going to go, or you can go faster. It does have an adjustable arm here, so if you're, against something, you can do that. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Now, normally this tool would be used for demolition. And not fine cutting. But there we go. So side 2, we've used the second of 2 saws here. So we used the jigsaw for the first cut. We used the second saw here, the reciprocating saw. I'm going to bring this down I'm going to slide it all down, and we're going to start using some other tools here. So the Craftsman can cut standard 45 degree, any real direction that you need on these. The circular saw can make these very long straight cuts pretty easily. So we're going to grab that out and use that. Now I'm switching between the batteries here. One of the nice things is if you buy a bunch of these tools with the batteries, they're all interchangeable. So you actually have more batteries now than you would need. Now I can cut this in a couple ways. So I'm going to use this way. Now I'm going to cut this the other way. There we go. Now I didn't cut all the way through because I was stopping in that corner because I wanted to leave myself something to hit with the jigsaw. I'm going to clean that off. So there is the front side. I'm going to set that off to the side. And then I'm going to cut this one the other way here with the jigsaw. Now, jigsaw for straight cutting, not as cool, but again, the goal of jigsaw is to be able to do more kinds of cuts. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to switch around between these. This next cut, I'm going to make it easy on myself and just do again with the circular saw. And then we're starting to get a lot of sawdust here on the workbench, as you can see. We're going to need another one of the Craftsman V20 series tools. I'm going to go ahead and mark the tools that we're using off here on the Amazon. And I'll say, welcome everyone that's watching on Amazon. Thanks everybody for tuning in, by the way. So I'm going to do the circular saw there in the carousel. So if you're watching, so here, I'm going to go ahead and cut this across straight. There we go. So now we are just buzzing through all the pieces that we have, but I am going to bring up one other tool here to help us clean up, and then we're going to get to the next chapter that we need to get in here. So that is going to be a portable wet dry vacuum. So we're going to knock some dust off of these tools. Being a boat owner myself, I can tell you this came in super handy when I was making a bunch of messes on the boat, because a lot of times when you're out fishing or whatever, or camping on the boat, you don't have access to power. So having a portable vacuum can be really cool. As you can see here, I've got a ton of junk loaded up. This is the Craftsman 2 horsepower, 2-gallon portable vacuum system. Now, it runs off of the same battery packs, the V20 series. Now, it is a wet dry vacuum. It also has a ton of really cool hidden features in here. So it has an exhaust port over here that you're seeing. It has a front intake port. It's 2 gallons of capacity. It is filtered, which is awesome if you're in an enclosed area. Now you can see I've got some sawdust in my filter right there already because I was using it earlier in the show to get things cleaned up. But the whole thing, you know, comes down super compact here. I'm going to go from the front so you guys can see this. You can get the entire 7-foot hose that it comes with and attach it right to the top. You take the attachment off the front and the whole thing fits here. Now, I had an idea the other day. I was like, in my boat, there's not a lot of storage space. So having something even this large, which is pretty small, could actually be taking up room. I was thinking, what if I could fit the drill inside of here? I might have the perfect setup for the boat, because you can take this thing now and you can come out here. I'm going to show you over here, and you can use it without any tools, and you can suck up all the sawdust that we just made and right out of the laptop keys very quickly. Now, if you want to use the tools, you just go ahead and plug them in, and you can cover a wider area. So you see, just like that, sucking up all the sawdust. There we go. Now I'm going to come over here, do the same exact thing. Hopefully my audio is still good, but I'm getting all that sawdust up and cleaning off our workspace. Now, if this was a wet mess and we needed to do any sort of wet cleanup, maybe I spilled something, this is going to be the perfect size for my wife for the car. If you need to do that, remove the filter out of here. Super easy. You open this up, There's the filter on the bottom. Go ahead and turn this knob, and you can remove this filter because you don't want this filter to get wet. So you go ahead and slide that filter out. This filter is replaceable and cleanable. As you see here, I'm just knocking some of the sawdust out of it. And then you can see if I go on the top down, all of the sawdust that it collected already today. So this thing is definitely good at it. Plenty of suction. It does have a gasketed edge all the way around. That's part of why it has such good suction. I'm going to go ahead and slide this back in so the filter is locked and screwed in. I'm going to put this back down, and we're going to be able to use it again. Now, it does have one other cool trick in the handle. If you need to get into maybe some laptop keyboards, into small crevices, it has a crevice tool hidden inside the handle, and I can use that to get under things, around things, and this does give it more suction. So I was really happy with this one, and I've used this a ton. Being a wet dry, like I said, on my boat, I actually use this to get the bilges clean. So there's always a little bit of rainwater or other stuff that goes in the bottom of the bilge. I was able to use this to actually suck up the rainwater, pour that water overboard, and then put the filter back in and use this for other cleanups. So very easy. So I'm taking a quick look at the chat. I didn't see anybody with any questions in there. So that is from Craftsman. That is their V20 portable vacuum. One of the many tools that they have in the system that we're looking at today. If you're just tuning in, this is John the Net Guy. I do tech, tool, and home product reviews. We're building this birdhouse. This is the one I made a little bit earlier today, and we're going to do it all here live on the show. So if you follow along or you want to zip back if you missed any steps, you can. It's all done with a single board. It's a single board birdhouse, which is kind of cool. I'm going to show you the last couple cuts, which are really easy to make. And then we'll be ready to assemble this thing. Believe it or not, it doesn't take very long at all. This show is only going to be about an hour today, and we're going to have this whole thing completely built. Helps if I use my clamp right. I'm just taking a look at the chat, see if there's any questions. Don't see any yet. But yeah, that was the Craftsman V20, that vacuum. That's one of my favorite products right now, I have to say. So the next one we're going to use is the roof. So to do the roof, again, from the instructions that we had over here, everything is measured off of this original cutting piece that we had. So the roof is 1 width of the board plus 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 widths of this. So you could count these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's where you're going to draw your line across here. So hopefully you guys can see that. And that is for your next cut. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. Now, these are going to be identical. So you could cut this off right now, and then you could match the roof perfectly. Or you could go here. Again, you don't need a tape measure to build this birdhouse. It's pretty amazing. And you just do the exact same thing over again. We do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to make a line on that one. That is the major cuts. So this is going to be roof, roof. And then we're going to do the last cut here is, again, the same width of the board, but we're going to subtract. This is for the bottom, which is inset in this one. So we want to subtract a little bit out of this one. We're going to take off 2 widths. So that's going to allow this thing to inset inside the other board. So that's the final remaining cuts that we need to make. I'm going to go ahead and use the circular saw for this one again, because it just does such a great job. There we go. So that is the first cut. I'm going to go ahead and slide this down. We'll get the last 2 cuts out of the way here. And then I'm going to show you how we make the roof angled cut. That's going to be a little bit more difficult cut, but the Craftsman will do it. If you don't have something to cut at an angle, you can just butt joint these up to each other. Just make one of the roof pieces a little narrower, and you'll see that when you go to put it together. So I'm going to cut this off. There we go. We'll switch you over here so you can see this cut. This cut I'm actually going to do from this side. I'm going to go ahead and cut that width off first. I want to make a cut right there. And I'll just stop it right here at the line. So hopefully you guys can see that now. So there's that last little cut that's going to go across. Now we have all of the pieces cut that we need for today's project. So there is going to be your bottom piece. I need to label that one. Bottom. We've got two side pieces here. We've got a front and a back piece here, and then we have two roof pieces. So we have all of the pieces cut. Now the roof pieces we mentioned, you want to do a 45-degree angle on, and this is where the Craftsman mini circular saw works right here. So along this one edge, and I'm just going to pick and say the edge that has my numbers on it is the edge I want to take off. I'm going to go ahead and tie this down, and we are going to go ahead and cut that 45-degree angle so you can see how that works. So it's a little bit of a more intricate cut, but I'll show you how to set the saw up to do that. Okay. And we are going to go over here. So this is the saw right now, and it's in a 90-degree mode. So you can see that the blade cuts at a 90-degree angle. Now I'm going to change this to cut at a 45. The way I do that is I just adjust it down until the 45 notch is marked there. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now depth, you may have to go for a deeper cut depending on, because it might have lost some depth, but in this case, it should be good. Now I want to actually do the cut facing the other way because I want the roof to be angled, and these are going to match the two roof pieces together. Like I said, if you didn't want to do this cut, or you didn't have a saw that could do this cut and you want to do it simpler, just make one of these narrower. And if you did that, that would accomplish the same result. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down. And I'm going to go ahead and run this. Make sure I have plenty of room. There we go. And that's the piece that you should have. It should be this little 45-degree angle piece with everything worked out. And then I'm going to grab the other roof piece, and we're going to make a cut on there. So that's our finished roof. I'm going to grab the other one. Now you can make a perch for this. They actually recommend that you don't put a perch on this. And I didn't know about this when I started the project, but perches are bad in general for birds because the birds that would use this don't want to have something to stand on. And actually the predator birds that would come attack your birdhouse would use that same perch against them. So you definitely don't want to do that if you can help it. I'm going to go ahead and cut this last one. There we go. So it's a little bit harder to cut on the saw because it's again going at a 45-degree angle, but you can see how fast that was and how well it worked. We've done basically all of the cutting that we need to do now. Now we get to come to the assembly portion here, and I'm going to go ahead and put this out of the way. And this assembles very quickly. We may want to do a little bit of cleanup again. I'm going to go back to the Craftsman vacuum. I'm going to bring this up on Amazon just in case anybody's on Amazon looking at this thing. I'm going to hit that. So hopefully I'm live on Amazon here on the right page. And I'm just going to show you again, use it very easily. It's got the 4 amp hour battery on it. Plenty of power. This thing will run for a very long time on this battery alone. You can do wet and dry pickup. And one of the nice things about when I'm sucking up all this dust, some of the other cheaper vacuums, they'll actually blow the dust back out in the air because they don't have filtration, especially on the wet vacuums. This one, because it has that nice filter in there, is cleaning it as it goes. It's not putting any dust out in my studio, which I love. So we got the area cleaned up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and turn that back off. And then I'm going to put a couple things out of the way. Now gets to be the fun part because we get to put all of these pieces together. I'm taking a look here on the chat, make sure I didn't miss any chats there. Okay. So there are all the pieces. I am going to need a new tool to do this one. And that is going to be also from the Craftsman V20 line. It's a 16 gauge nailer. Now I've gone ahead and put the brad nails that I'm going to use already in here. But the 16 gauge nailer, what's interesting about this is normally to do this kind of nailing, you would need an air compressor. And I've had a finish nailer, and then I've had different kinds of compressors. I've hauled around massive ones. And then luckily, with the advent of the lithium ion batteries, this has got a pretty heavy motor in it. You're able to have basically a wind up coil here and a action that drives brad nails just as good as an air tool without having all those extra pieces. So now, I did skip one piece that we may want to do, and I just thought about this, which is we want to put a hole in the birdhouse in the front. We're going to do one other tool before we skip over to that nailer. And now we get to use the drill from Craftsman, which is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and put this out here. We're going to drill a hole for the front of our birdhouse so that the birds can get in. And now this is where we're going to get to use the Craftsman hole saw. And I'm going to bring this over. See if I can get a good angle on it there. There we go. So I'm going to use an 1.5-inch hole saw. This is all from the Craftsman line, but this works with any standard drill. And that's where I get to go over here. So this is the Craftsman V20 entry-level drill that they have. It's got 2 speeds along the top. So it's got a rotating clutch here. So if you're driving very small screws in and you need it to automatically stop, as it goes, it'll stop turning automatically if it gets that tension, so you can adjust it down. If you're going to be drilling like we are, we're going to go all the way up to where the indicator says drill mode, because we're going to be drilling into this. We have 2 different speeds. If you're doing stuff heavy duty, you can go to the 1. That's the lower torque range. You also notice it has a built-in light. Hopefully you guys can see that. So it actually lights up your work surface. I've had tools that do this before, but the one thing is the light turns off prematurely. So what's neat about this is the light stays on, and then just to activate it, just pull the trigger slightly. You don't even have to start the tool, and you can activate that light. Makes getting set up when it's dark, if you're trying to use this thing in cramped spaces, it makes setting it up really easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the chuck up. It goes to up to a 1/2-inch drive. So it can do pretty large tools. I can tighten it by hand, and there we go. So now it's in and tight. I can go forward and reverse. If I had one gripe to say about this tool, it's that this is too small. This is your forward and reverse selector. It is way too small. Now, if you follow me on social media, you may have seen that I did burn up the first one of these I had. I was drilling a 4.5-inch hole into wet fiberglass and plywood, and it was a big mess. I got the thing to smoke. So the one thing I will say about that is I should have used a regular 1/2-inch drive corded drill. This was way too much for a portable hand tool like this. And they do actually even have the RP version, which may have been able to do that. But if you follow me on socials, you'll absolutely see that. This is going to work out really good here. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the forward mode. And then I'm going to drill a hole towards the top of this birdhouse. So you can do it right about where the roof line is, because they'll actually fly up and in to this. So I'm going to go ahead and start screwing it in. Now I'll show you another trick to get a really good cut out of this. This cedar's a little bit wet, so it doesn't like to cut cleanly. But to get a really good cut on both sides that's not going to burr out, just flip the thing over. And if you can find, which I think is right there, depending on how deep you've drilled it, if you can find where that's going through on the other side, and you can drill it, you'll match up your holes. There we go. And they should. Perfect. I'm just getting all of this stuff is so wet, the cedar board. I want to make sure I cut through all the way. There we go. And now it's out. And another nice thing about this, when you do it that way, it technically gives you something to grab onto here. So you could potentially rock it back and forth, or I'll use my handy pliers. This one allows you to reach from below and push up, which is kind of nice on these. and then I can rotate it out. And that's the little 1.5-inch plug. Who knows what you need to use that for, but that has now put the hole in our birdhouse where the birds can come through. So there we go. So that's the last cut technically that we need to make here. Coming back. Uh-oh. Somebody's posting links on the Twitch side. Who knows? So we're going to go ahead and start to assemble this. I did have the Craftsman 16 gauge nailer. That is actually a very nice tool. They make a 16, an 18, and a 23 gauge. 23 gauge being the smallest. That's going to be for your little finish pin nails. I don't technically have a pin nailer right now, but this is the sides. Now you can put the cut side up or down, depending on how you want. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and align this side, and this will let us drive those nails to make this thing work. So I'm going to go ahead and line it up. Most important thing right here where the roof line meets this, you don't want this to be proud. We don't want this to stick up. So if you have cuts that are not good, this one actually cut really, really well. If you have them that are not perfect, go ahead and err on the side of having them there. I'm going to go ahead and push this down. And the neat thing about this tool, you can hear it spin up. Now it is adjustable. I'll show you that on this side camera angle. Might be a little bit better. It's adjustable so that you can drive them. And it has a light. You can see that light. So if you're trying to nail into darker areas. Now it has a non-marring shoe and safety interlock. I can't get it to run unless it's pushed up against something. There's also, and it got me the first time, a very small safety interlock down there, which you have to find. That locks the trigger from accidentally being hit, which I love because of kids. It does have a hook here for your belt if you want to hook that on, and it uses the standard V20 batteries yet again. So there we put one side on. Let's go ahead and put the other side on. You know what I noticed too is I put the side and I have my writing on the outside. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this one on here. And I'm going to put my cut sides up. But you know what I'm noticing? This has got too many burrs. I don't like this sticking out. It's going to make it hard to use. So we're going to pull out another of the Craftsman tools. The last tool here to show off, which is, or second to last, sorry, which is the Craftsman orbital sander. Now I can use any sort of orbital disc with this. That's the standard size. And I use, again, the Craftsman V20 series battery. So in this case, I just slide the battery onto the tool, and it does have a dust catcher as well as the VersaTrack mounting, which I'll talk about at the end. And then it is going to have this little tiny dust cone, but I can go ahead and sand those edges. I can even sand my writing off of there, hopefully. There you go. That's clean. And perfect. So I can do this to all of the pieces that I want. You know, like this cut edge is not perfect, so I could go ahead and sand that, make it better. Now, it does accept different kind of grits. This case, I think this is the 240 or 220 grit. Yeah, so pretty high. If you want to line up your roof edge, you could do that. So if this edge is not cut perfectly and you want it to look even better, you can do that with this. There we go. That's one. And I'm going to do it to the other edge as well. That's just going to make those two pieces made up a little bit better here as well. So that's the Craftsman orbital sander from the V20 series. Another great little tool. I actually use this over the weekend to clean my Blackstone grill. So if you have a very like 80 grit, you can go out there. I had some rust that was starting to develop on the Blackstone. I hit it with this and it worked out awesome. So I'll hopefully put a little clip of that here in the final video. You'll get to see it. So we were just assembling this. I'm going to grab the side piece that we were working on now that it's all clean. Now I don't have the side marker that I had on the wrong side. I do that. So I can put this here either direction. And I'm going to go ahead and use that same 16 gauge nailer, and we're going to assemble this side real quick. Now, I did have a knot in here, and it was powerful enough that it actually shot through the knot, but it did send the nail off to the side. So I can actually clean this up by just pulling it through. Luckily, this is the back side of it. Okay, or I can cut that off. There we go. So just cleaned that up a little bit there. But that's what happened on that one. Now let's talk about the adjustability on this one. If you look here on the side, I'm going to go here on the top down for you guys. So if you look here on the side, there's this adjustable. And when I adjust it, this wheel, it actually changes the depth. So this is saying that it's going to countersink. This is going to be proud. So I found with this that they actually don't need much to get driven in. So I can do it to that level. Now I'm going to put the front on. And the way I do this, I'm actually going to do it so that it's not showing the marker facing the wrong direction. So let's do that. And I'm going to do this way again. Making sure got the angle in this time. Perfect. And I'll do this again to the other side here. Now it's driving them pretty deep. So if I come over here, you'll see that it's driving a little bit deeper than I actually need or want. So I can take this and I can actually adjust it down so it doesn't use as much force. Perfect. Now, what's neat about this is that you can drive not only, 1 1/4 inch all the way up to, I believe, 2.5 inch nails on this one. That's the maximum size. And you can use finish nails of any brand with this one. I just happen to be using Craftsman finish nails, but you can use cheaper nails if you want, and they're all available on Amazon. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the roof on, and you can decide when you're putting the roof on if you want it to be maybe a little bit further forward and cover that whole area, if you want it to be even, which is what I think I'm going to do on this one. And the only thing you have to be careful of is just line those roof notches up here. You can see my cut there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Align it so that that edge sits exactly there. And I'm going to go ahead and put one in, and then I'm going to put another one in to hold it in place while we secure it with some additional. So I'm going to put that one right there. Now, the nice thing about this nailer, again, is I don't have to drag around a huge air compressor with me. I don't have an air hose getting in the way. This also does have a belt hook. So if you're doing a bunch of these, you could literally just set it along your belt on the side and have it run around. Now, are you worried that you might hit into something? Well, that's where you can use the additional 2 safeties together to make sure that it won't fire when it's hooked up to your belt. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the roof on here. Now this is where I might do a little bit of sanding next time to get this one perfect. So this roof angle is not perfect. There's a little gap that you can see there that might let some water in. So you may want to sand this one a little bit. Now, had you not actually 45 degreed, if you just done the roof this way and like kind of a lap joint, which would be great, you can do that. Just make sure to make it even, that you adjust the lengths of these. So this is all kind of play by ear here. So if you wanted to lap joint it here, you would adjust it that way. But I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the nails in. Now, another thing about this is we didn't use a tape measure on any of this, right? So it is kind of a rustic build. If you wanted this to be identical, you could take the first piece, mark it on the second, and you won't have any sort of smaller gaps like I do here. I'm going to go ahead and line it up and nail this in. Now we are almost done with this one. We have a bottom piece to do. Now it is not firing it as deep as I want, so I'll adjust that down and have a little bit more strength on this angle piece. There we go. So very quickly you can see it is attached the lid to this. Now the final piece that we have to do is the bottom. I'm going to show you a trick to doing this. Now there is one other cut that we probably want to make. I didn't do this on the first birdhouses that I make. And apparently this is another improvement in the design. One thing I love about the oscillating tools, this is super versatile. This one comes with both a wood cutting and a metal cutting, is that you can just do a ton of really intricate cuts with them. I use this in fiberglass over the weekend to put switches in, and I'll show you that in another video. But I can go ahead and take this And I can literally notch the corners of this piece of wood just by hand. Now, why would you want to notch the corners? Well, for water. So if there's any sort of water that's going to get in here, you want to have some sort of path to drain out. There we go. So it's that easy to make something that has now notched corners just using an oscillating tool. Did it all freehand. Now, the other interesting thing about this is you can very quickly change blades out. So this unit has a thumb release, finger release here. You push it in, pull this out, and you can change the angle as well. So if you're getting into a tight space, maybe you're cutting a pipe off or other things, this is one of my favorite tools right now. It also has a little integrated light. As I mentioned, they do have an RP version of this one if you are going to use this a lot. And when I store it, I just store it with the blade facing back, and it fits away very compactly in the bag over here that way. Okay, we got a couple final things that we're going to do. This is the bottom piece that's going to slide in. We're going to see, ooh, looks like we got plenty of room in here. So I cut it a little bit shy on both sides. So there's plenty of room to get in. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the final tool that we're going to look at today, which is their impact driver. Now, mechanics have been using impact tools forever. And that what's happening is as it turns around, there's a set of hammers that hammers to the next, to the next, to the next. You hear that tut, 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 tut. And what that does is it actually makes a stronger impact, a stronger hit without having to spin up as fast the chuck or this area. It also doesn't cam out as easily. So if you had a lot of torque and you were trying to do this and you're doing it continuously, it could actually, take the edge of the bit off. These tend to hold a little bit better. One thing I am going to do just to give myself a little bit of a fighting chance, because this cedar likes to split really easily, is I'm going to grab a drill bit. Now you can pick whatever size you want. In this case, it's just one of the standard holes. Another neat thing about this impact driver from Craftsman, the V20, is that you can push this out to release it, but you don't have to push it out to install, which is an improvement over other brands. You just push it in like that and it's installed. It will not come out. And then you pull this collar back and now it does come out. So that's one quick thing you can do to make this super easy. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this birdhouse here. And I'm going to go ahead and drill a very small hole right here without drilling into my desk. And I'm going to switch tools now. And I'm going to put the Phillips driver in, and I'm going to go ahead and put the first screw right in the bottom. And the reason I'm doing this, and it's not in much at all, is just to give myself something to hold on to. Now we're going to attach the bottom with screws. And part of the reason for that is we want the ability to remove the bottom out of this whenever we want. So to do that easily, I'm going to go ahead and drill where it's likely to split, which is on these very thin edges. And drill 1, 2. I'm going to come to this side and I'll do the 3 and 4. So there's only 4 screws that are needed for this whole assembly. There we go. I'm going to remove that bit. I'm going to put the new bit in. Now I can use this screw right here to hold it as I'm putting this together. I am going back and forth, from removal to forward. This does have the same integrated light that the regular drill does, but it is an impact driver. It's only a 1/4 inch, so you have to have 1/4 inch tools, and they do have to have this little notch for it to hold. Otherwise, the tool will come out. So some of my screwdriver bits do not have that. They can't be used with this. One other improvement I would like to see, so it has too small of a changer over here, and it's very plasticky feeling. The rest of the tool feels great in the hand. I'd love to have a little bit holder on the side. It doesn't have that. It's got the VersaTrack mount, but I would love to have a bit holder so I could go back and forth. As you're seeing, I'm having to leave these down. So that would be an improvement they could make. So I'm going to go ahead and put this here. I'm going to use this and hold it at the depth that I want. There we go. Grab another screw. And then I'm going to take this one back out because we don't need it anymore. Now you can go ahead and adjust these. A little back. There we go. And then I'm going to put the last one in here, and we now have a birdhouse. I'm going to sand off that side indicator as well, because I don't want that shown anymore. So I'm going to use the Craftsman orbital. Perfect. Oh, a little more. Now, what I love about this is that did not make a lot of dust. But if I take this off, you'll see there's some dust from the other day when I was using it. It has all the dust that it collects inside of it. So that's a neat feature. And again, you can use this with a vacuum cleaner or other, dust collection device. So that's pretty cool. So that, believe it or not, is the completed birdhouse. Now, to attach this, looks pretty close to the other one. To attach this, you can drill a hole in the top of the unit and put a wire in. That's one recommendation if you want. Or you could come up with many different ways. You could mount it from the bottom if you want onto something, or you can get just a screw-in hook. But there we go. Now we've actually done this. Ron Moore says coincidence, but I'm actually at Lowe's right now. Okay, well, there you go. So he's at a store. If you want to pick these up, you can pick them up from my Amazon store. I'm going to bring that up here again. If you visit that URL that's scrolling along the bottom of the show, you get to see all of these and more. There are a ton of products available in this Craftsman line. If you're going to buy multiples, like I said, buy the kits as much as you can. This is the 7-tool kit. They have a 6-tool kit. It has an absolute ton of things that are in the Craftsman line. So let's see if we have the Craftsman power tools. I'm just visiting the Amazon page for that. There's the drills, saws, batteries, combo kits here. They have other tools that you can do, which is like this tire inflator. So that's another really neat thing in the line. Now I have quite a few of these tools, but I don't have them all. So we're going to look at their cordless V20s. They even have a cordless sliding miter saw. Look at that. That would be awesome. Some of the other ones in the family, you can buy the regular or the brushless. The brushless are those RP tools, so you can see them side by side there. You can see the price difference. It's $99 for the V20 Max combo kit. It's a $224 here for the cordless brushless RPs. So they're definitely a lot more expensive for the more professional grade that will last longer. In this case, like the oscillating tool, that's the one that I have here. So we can see that there's the oscillating tool only. You can also get the oscillating tool brushless, or you can get it as a combo kit as well. So that's just a few of the things to take a look at. This has been the V20 series. I'm going to go back to my show page and show you just a couple other things here. VersaTrack, we got to talk about that. The VersaTrack system is Craftsman's system that's compatible with all the V20 units that I've showed today, and it's for garage organization. So if you need to hang up your yard tools, if you need to hang up everything, they've come up with this unique system. It's very similar to a French cleat system, if you've ever seen those. French cleats you can make yourself. These ones you can't, but it is very compact and allows you to hang all of your tools in a very compact area. So there's a Bluetooth speaker that they have. They also have a cutting wheel here. They also have a flashlight and some other stuff. So very excited to see that. I'm going to take a quick look at the Amazon chat, make sure I didn't miss anything. And that is the show, folks. I do appreciate you guys all for tuning in tonight. It's been a lot of fun building this identical birdhouse with you. Now I've got 2 of these, and I'm going to build one more, like I said, with Maverick, because we want to finish this project together. All you need is one 1x6 by 6 foot cedar fence board. You can get a 5.5, 5 if you need to, because you're going to have a little bit of waste. The extra piece that you're going to have is about this long. Now you can use this to make a perch, maybe a bottom for this, even though they don't technically recommend that. But I do thank you guys for tuning in. If you do purchase any of these and you use my Amazon store links, I do get a very small commission on that. Let me go ahead and pull that down here along the bottom so you can see that. I will be back hopefully next week with a completely new show for you guys. It won't be Craftsman related, but if you have questions between now and then, feel free to send them to me. Follow me on my socials, and thank you guys for tuning in. I will catch you guys all in the next one.